Hi, I'm Miss Haley with the Huntsville-Madison County Public Library, and today I'm going to show you how to make a corner bookmark that looks like a pizza. And for this activity, you're going to need a glue stick, a pair of scissors, and some paper. So you're going to need some construction paper, and I took a piece of this just tan construction paper so that it'll match my crust. And you want to cut it into a 6" by 6" square. So this is my square, and it is 6 inches on all sides because it's a square. So 6 inches by 6 inches. Square of kind of beigey tan paper to match your just pizza crust color, construction paper. Go ahead and keep your scraps of that because you're going to need them to make your actual pizza crust. You're going to need a piece of red construction paper. I'm just using scraps. I have a lot of scraps because I do a lot of crafting. But if you don't have scraps, that's fine. You want your pizza, you want your red paper to be about 3 inches wide. It doesn't matter how long, but you want it to be about 3 inches, no smaller than 3 inches by 3 inches. Then you definitely need some yellow. And then the rest is really up to you. It depends on what toppings you want to put on your pizza. I am picking my toppings based on the scraps that I had. So I had green and black. And so I'm going to do some peppers. And I am going to do some olives. Both of those things are things I 100% don't like on my pizza. I'm also going to use a little bit of this red. Since I had a lot of red, I'm going to use that for pepperoni. So it's going to be a pepperoni, olive, and pepper pizza. Ew. But it'll look really nice. You can use any scraps you want. You could use white and you can make mushrooms. You could use a darker brown than your crust color and you could have sausage. You could use blue and have blueberries. That's probably pretty gross on pizza, but you could do it. This is your fantasy pizza. So to start out with, if you have not already, go ahead and make sure you cut a piece of paper so it is 6 inches by 6 inches square. And we're going to start by folding our corner bookmark base. So to do this, you are going to fold one corner up to the other corner. So we're going to fold it up. I'm using construction paper, so it's a little stiff. But you want either construction paper or cardstock for this, for the base. It does not have to match your crust if you don't want to. But you want something stiff for your base so that it is going to have some weight to it. If it's just regular paper, it's really flimsy and it's not going to hold up to being used in your book. So keep that in mind. Next, you are going to fold this guy down. So I'm folding one point down to the other point, like that. And then we're going to fold this point. So I've got a triangle right now. We're going to fold this point up to the, you can unfold to do this too if it's easier for you. I'm going to fold that up to the point so that we have kind of making a square again, and we're going to do the same with the other one. Bringing those side points of our triangle up. Having some trouble getting this one to bend where I want it to bend. If you're not sure if it's not bending the way you want to, don't crease it until you've got it the way you want it. Alright, and we're going to unfold those. Fold this back down, and we are going to tuck these in. That, and we're going to fold it. I'm going to fold this one up, and I'm going to tuck that point into this little pocket that's being formed. Like that. You can kind of poke it down with your finger a little bit and then crease. And now you have a couple options depending on how you want this to work. If you want a little bit more stability, you can leave this flap up. It'll help it stay on your corner a little bit better. It'll be a little bit more flexible. But if you do not want it there, if you just think it's ugh, or you're worried about it getting messed up, you can tuck it into that pocket too. So you just tuck it down and then fold so that you have a triangle instead. But I'm going to leave mine because I like it, and it's going to give me a very useful base for my pizza. But you could do this with just the triangle shape. That is up to you. All right, so I am going to take this and I'm going to leave mine with the flap. I'm going to flip it over so that the square side is face up. And I'm going to set it on the other piece. This is the other part of my construction paper that I used to cut my square out of. So I'm going to set it right here. And I'm going to just make sure. I'm just going to put a little mark where each of the 4 corners are. And we're going to make sure that way when I draw my circle, we're going to make sure that it will fit and cover the bookmark. It was going to poke out on the sides a little bit, and we want that because we'll see our pizza poking out of our book a little bit. And we want that, and we want to cover up the base. So we don't want any of that base to be peeking through on one side. So I've got, if you can see them, I've just got 1, 2, 3, 4 little marks where my corners were. And that's how I know I need to draw my circle around those marks. And I'm just going to look around my office here. I don't. I was hoping I had something round that I could trace, but I don't. So, if you are at home, you can find something round that's just slightly bigger. You don't want it huge, but that's just a little bit bigger than this square, and you can trace it around it. Just put it on top, make sure it's covering all 4 of your marks, and trace it. But I don't have anything that's quite big enough in here. So I'm just going to freehand a circle around it. And I'm actually going to take it from corner to corner. I'm just going to freehand what I hope will be a circle when I'm done. Not some weird oval shape. It's not super circular. So I'm going to even it up. Even it up. There we go. Close enough. So, for our pizza, it is okay if you have some pin marks. I'm going to cut those off. I'm going to make sure I'm going to cut them so it's off, and that's also going to face down. But you'll still see part of it, so you want to make sure you cut it off. You could also, if you don't want, because that's a pretty big bookmark, right? That's pretty, I mean, most of this will be in the book, but this part will stick out. And that's pretty big. If you don't want it to be that big, go ahead and fold it down. Do a triangle and just, you can ignore it and you can just make this a pizza bookmark. You could do it that way too. But I want it to be a circle. I don't know if my cheese is going to be enough. I might need to find a different yellow scrap. But we are going to cut this out. And I'm just kind of going around and again making sure I'm getting all those marks still on the inside. And I'm cutting it out. And I made sure I cut off all of my marks. And I have a rough circle that will fit on my bookmark. So I'm going to put a bunch of glue on here, but not yet. We're going to wait and we're going to construct our pizza first. But we won't be gluing to the back of our pizza. So make sure you know if you do have any pin marks left, make sure you know which side is going to face down. You want those pin marks to be facing down. We're done with our brown paper for right now. We're going to set it down. And I'm still not sure if I'm pleased with this. It'll be okay. It'll just be a wide crust. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut a circle out of it. So I'm just going to cut kind of a little bit off so I don't have a big piece flopping around. And I'm just going to freehand a circle. If you have something at home to trace around, you can totally do that. You just want it to be a little bit smaller than whatever you used to trace out your crust. Super simple. All right. There's our sauce. I'm going to cut just very gently. I'm kind of cutting a wave shape into mine. I'm just barely cutting anything off. I don't want to make it too much smaller than it already is. If I'd been thinking about it, I might have done this as I cut, but I wasn't. I'm just cutting just the tiniest sliver of paper off if you want to look. Just the tiniest little sliver of paper off. But I'm doing kind of a scalloped edge, just a wavy sort of edge. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be even. You could do little ones and then big ones, which is kind of what I'm doing. Alright. And that way it gives it a slightly more organic feel to that. It's not a perfect circle. Not that mine was perfect to begin with. But it gives it a slightly more saucy sort of look. So I'm going to decide where I want that. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. So I'm going to put the glue on the back of my sauce all around the edge and the middle. Plenty of glue. You don't want it coming up. I'm going to glue that down, and keep in mind you can kind of shift it around if you get it a little off. All that glue's still wet, you can kind of shift it. I'm going to use my fingers to pick up this extra glue. We want that dry before we go and stick it in a book. Yikes. And now let's see. My cheese is actually pretty perfect. So I already had a circle cut of cheese, and it actually turns out to be about the size that I want it to be. So I'm not going to cut mine down anymore, and I'm not going to do like a wavy edge on this. I'm going to just leave it how it is, because cheese kind of melts a little bit more smoothly than maybe sauce is applied. But if you don't have a perfect circle of yellow paper, that's fine. Just use the same technique we did for the sauce and cut a circle that is a little smaller than your sauce circle was. If you're using something round to trace, find something that's a little less big than whatever you used to do your sauce circle. Super simple on that. We're going to glue that down. And again, I used plenty of glue. I got it all over the back of it. You want this to stay down. It's going to see a lot of abuse going in and out of a book. Maybe getting tossed in and out of a book bag. You want it to be glued down pretty good. So now it's time to add our toppings. You can do really whatever you want. I am going to do my pepperoni first, the most important part. And I think I want a couple. So I'm going to cut a strip out of my red. And I'm actually going to, I want them to be fairly small. It's not a huge pizza, is it? I want massive pepperonis on my pizza. So I'm going to fold it up. So let's see. That's one. So that's 1, 2, 3. That'll get me 4 pepperonis. So I'm just going to cut a circle out of the stack that I've just made. I'm going to make sure I'm cutting the fold lines off. So there's not going to be just an accordion of pepperoni. And I'm going to cut them down into a circle. And there I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pepperonis. And I think I want a 5th one, so I'm going to go ahead and snag one more and cut it into a circle as well. And you guys can do whatever toppings you want. These are just the toppings that I'm doing. It is up to you. If you're going to do a sausage, I'll show you how to do a sausage real quick. I'll show you the shape. I can't show you with the right colors, but I can show you the shape. So for a sausage, you want to cut a circle, and I'm going to make it way bigger than you need it to be for this. but that way you can see it. So for a sausage, cut a circle, and then you're going to cut it into a 3-leaf clover shape. So you're going to come in, and you're going to come in, and then back out. And then over here, you're going to come in, and back out. And then you're going to come in, and back out. And then you just round off your edges, or your points if you wind up with points. And you have this little thing that kind of looks like a sausage. That's how you do a sausage. And if you want to do a mushroom, mushrooms are super easy. So you're going to make the stem first. So you're going to cut up and then over, and flip it, and cut up and then over. So you have a little stem. And then you're just going to round off the top like that. And if you don't want this harsh corner here, you're going to round that off too. And there you have a little, whoops, a little mushroom shape. And I would do those out of white. They have brown mushrooms too though, so you could do it out of brown. And if you do the sausage, I would do it out of a darker brown than whatever you used for the crust. But I'm not doing either of those. I didn't have them. So I'm going to glue down my pepperoni. And I'm just going to stick the pepperoni on. Like that. Make sure I get plenty of glue on the back of them. And stick them on. If you're wondering how I'm picking them up with just my finger, there's a little bit of glue on my finger from doing this, and that's how they're sticking to me. So, like that. Then we're going to cut, I guess we'll do olives next. So, olives are similar, they're circles. How do I want to do this? I'm going to do 4 olives, so I'm going to fold this in half and then in half again, and that should give me 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to cut a circle out. I'm going to cut my circle a little bit smaller than my pepperonis, and then each of these circles I'm going to fold in half. These are super small. Olives might not have been my best idea. This is kind of hard. So I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm just going to cut a little circle or a half circle out along the folded edge. I'm going to have to go both ways because it's so small. Like that. And if you open it back up, you should have an olive shape. So same thing, I'm going to just put that on there. Get a bunch of glue, and we're going to put it on. And again, we're going to fold my little olive in half, and we're going to cut just a semicircle out of the middle, making sure I'm cutting along the folded edge of my semicircle, the flat edge of the semicircle. And then open it up. Get glue on it and put it down. I might only use 3 now that I've placed them. Don't think I need 4. We'll just do more green peppers. So fold it in half, cut along. You're cutting along this, so you're going to go boop, like a rainbow. So you're going to make it into a rainbow shape by cutting out the center, and then you're going to unfold it. A little bit of glue and stick it down. So next, I'm going to do some peppers. And again, I want to cut a couple. So I'm going to cut a strip. I'm going to fold it in half this way. And I'm going to fold it 1, 2, that's way more peppers than I need. I don't need. We're going to fold it in 3. So 1, 2, 3. There we go. So that should wind up giving me about 6 peppers. Paper peppers. Alright, so for my peppers, usually when you cut them, they can be in little squares. So you could, if you wanted to, instead of doing this, the way I'm about to show you, let me show you a different way. Cut a small strip and then just cut squares. So they don't even have to be particularly even. Most people when they dice, and then you can just glue these squares on there if you want. But sometimes when you get a pizza with peppers on it, they come in little strips that they've cut down, and those have a slight curve to them, and I think that looks better, and I think it looks a little bit more cartoony. So I'm going to cut a curve into my piece. I'm going to chop off either end here because those are folded ends, and that way I don't have an accordion of peppers. I just have peppers. And then I'm going to cut from where this starts, so it's going to be a point, but then I'm going to cut in kind of that same rainbow shape. And what you should wind up with is a shape kind of like that. But really it can be almost any old random shape, either square or a strip. Peppers come in a lot of different cuts and shapes. And this one wants to really stick to my finger and not the paper. Get off. I'm putting them on pretty randomly. I want to make sure they're not all facing the same direction, which is something you could wind up accidentally doing. Get off my finger. And one more. Oh, 2 more. I lied. 2 more. So we're gonna, oh, gross. My fingers are getting super gluey. And yeah, I think I do want this one. We're gonna put him right here. No, get off. Or he's just gonna live on my finger now. I'm gonna have a pepper finger forever. Oh no, my peppers are coming up. I'm going to glue down a little bit over them because they were kind of finicky, just those 2. That'll help them stick down. That'll dry clear, or it should, and that'll help them stick down. I just got to make sure I don't close that part into a book until it is dry. So there's my pizza. And now we're going to attach my pizza to this base. So we don't want to put, make sure you know how it's got to go on there, depending on how you cut it. You want all your points to be covered. So we're going to put glue, not on the back of the pizza, but on this square. That way we don't have any glue on the parts of the pizza that are sticking out, and we don't have to wait forever for it to dry before we can put it in a book. Because if you have glue on the parts that are sticking off the edges of this square, you'll accidentally glue it to your book. And that usually is not great. We don't want to damage our books. We just want to know where we left off. So I'm going to put glue all around the edge and then in the center. And I'm going to line my pizza up, make sure all my corners are covered. They are, and I'm going to press it down. Like that. And if I wanted to, I could even trim a little bit off, and I might. Do I want to? Nah, then it'll be more of a square pizza. So that is our pizza bookmark with our pocket on the back. And to use this, you take a book, make sure, yeah, we're dry. And you slip the corner of the book page into this corner. So you just slip it on like that. And you've got a pizza marking your place in your book. Hope you guys have fun with this. I'd love to see what you come up with. And you can send those to us on our Facebook page, which is Huntsville-Madison County Public Library. We would love to hear from you. Thank you.